I'm learning how to drift, and in this series I'm going to try to go from beginner to pro in just 30 days. This is week 1. Nice. I've been drifting for a while now, a little bit over a year, but it's been mostly low horsepower cars. I don't really have experience with high horsepower comp cars. So I'm going to be practicing for 30 days to master comp drifting. And by the end of the 30 days, I need to go from total beginner to getting a perfect tandem. So on day 1, I had to start from the basics and get my entry right. Coming from drifting low horsepower cars, I was very used to Scandi flicking like crazy to lose grip. That's pretty much how I learned how to drift, especially because when I first started I didn't even have a clutch or a handbrake. But the problem with Scandi flicking like that with these high horsepower cars is that it's a lot harder to manage. Big flicks can really throw off the weight in the car and make you lose control and make the entry much more inconsistent. So to make my entries much more consistent, I reduced how much I flick. I'm slightly turning left and then clutch kicking right to lose grip. I was getting into the run a lot more smoothly now, but I still had a lot of work to do, especially transitioning from this last zone into the wall. On day 2, I had to work on getting more control of my car. Even though I already fixed one of the problems with my entry, I still had another one. My car felt very slippery and like it was missing grip. At first I thought going a little bit slower and entering earlier would fix that. That only resulted in me being on the inside of the track and missing my zones. At the moment, my immediate thought was taking some air out of the rear tires. This would increase the contact patch on the rear wheels and essentially grip up more. And that actually worked surprisingly well. I felt like I had a lot more control over the car, and every time I would press on the throttle, I felt like I could actually move the car instead of just slipping away. And by some miracle, I was actually able to complete a full run. It wasn't the cleanest, but hey, a run is a run.
It's just a game. That was actually a crazy clean run.
Okay, buddy, don't get ahead of yourself. On day 3, I made a huge change to my entry. And I know I keep messing with my entry, but this change actually made a huge difference. Up until this point, I was only initiating using the momentum of the car. But people in my comments kept suggesting that I should try to use the handbrake on initiation to stabilize the car. This is supposed to make my entries a little bit more consistent and not have to make as many corrections. I've never been crazy about initiating with the handbrake, but I decided to give it a shot. And you guys were right, this made a huge difference in my entries. I was totally shocked by this. You can tell I'm getting into the first zone more smoothly now, which leads to me also getting the rest of the zones a lot smoother. Especially on this center zone over here, if you don't have the right line, you constantly clip the curb. On this run right here, I almost made it to the wall, but unfortunately I didn't. A few runs later, I did get a crazy wall ride, so check this out. I was actually pretty surprised with this one. It's day 4 now, and I set up roof cam for the first time. I've been seeing some really good drifters on YouTube and on Instagram using a roof cam, so I wanted to give it a shot. I want to see if it actually makes a difference when I'm drifting. To be honest, at first it felt really weird. I wasn't used to it at all. I'm very used to the inside view, the cockpit view, but I still wanted to give it a solid shot, so I kept using it run after run, and it was feeling a little bit more comfortable each time. The hardest part was probably getting the initiation in the correct spot, because I'm used to seeing the track from inside the car, so I already had kind of like a general area where I would initiate, but now I'm outside, kind of like on the roof. So I had to just aim at the correct spot. But once I started initiating in the right place, I was able to continue the run pretty smoothly. I started getting closer to the wall each time, and on this one I almost got it. I was getting close to that wall. But shortly after, I got really used to the roof cam and I was linking the track better than before. On this run right here, I kept the line really smooth and I avoided the curbs, which was a little bit hard for me, but I was able to see where the curbs exactly were since I was on the roof cam instead of inside the car, and that really helped me stay away from the curbs. On day 5, I wanted to switch it up a little bit, so I tried the roof cam on the toge. It had been a while since I last drifted on a toge, so I threw on a familiar track. This one's Tsukuba toge or Fruits Line, and I grabbed the BDC car, the R32. At first I was just trying to remember how the car responded to my throttle. Whoa, okay, I haven't done toge in a while. I quickly remembered how to drive this car, but the gear ratio was a little bit off. Third was a little too long and second was a little bit too short. So I knew I had to shorten my gears so I could make the most out of third gear. Nice, I didn't fly off the hill. That one hill is so easy to fly off of. Now that I had my gear ratio right, third gear felt a million times better. Nice. So now it was time to throw down some flicks and link some turns. Using roof cam on the toge, it actually made it a lot more comfortable than before. I know some people might say it's unrealistic, but in my perspective, it makes it a little bit easier just because you can see more. In a real car, you have all the windows and you have your peripheral vision. When you're on the sim, if you just have one screen, it's really hard to see outside of it. On day 6, everything clicked and I got my best run yet. I went into Bikerniki with my S14 to do my usual practice sesh, but for some reason this day, everything felt a lot more comfortable than before. I even threw in a little handbrake for this inner zone, which I never usually do, but it worked out really nice. At this point, I was sure I was going to get this wall perfectly, but unfortunately I carried too much speed and slammed straight into the wall. And on this run, I did something really weird. I misclicked the camera button while I was steering and I switched angles right in the middle of my run.
I switched cameras.
But now look at this entry. Oh my goodness. Look, I traced the entire line leading up to that first zone. And bam, connected right into that second zone, going into the third inner zone, and then right into the fourth zone. All of them perfect. Like, what in the world? I touched the curb a little bit right there, but I was able to pull through and ride into the wall.
That was a pretty sweet run.
I don't know why I'm acting so nonchalant like I do this on the daily, but that was nice. And on day 7, everything was about to change. It was time for me to learn how to tune my car. I had been putting it off for a while, but I watched a tutorial by Brandon Gardner on YouTube, and he made it very simple to understand. The main changes were in the gear ratio, which I adjusted so I could get the most out of my gears in this track. And also in the camber. I give the front a lot more negative camber, which is supposed to give me a better contact patch when I'm steering, which results in me having more control over my line. But it's not over yet. If you enjoyed this so far, make sure to subscribe and tune in for week 2 where I tackle a whole new track. And it's a lot more challenging than I expected.
Nice. Nice.